Hello, I'm Jaynee from Messages from Heaven by Jaynee on YouTube. Um, I'm talking to you from my workroom, which looks like a big mess, and I don't like videotaping here because it does look like a big mess. But I haven't yet figured out or gotten the sound fixed on my tablet, and I want that to be right. Um, People are complaining about it. So this is what I wanted to say. Um, I spent 50 years in therapy. Um, I have been tremendously lucky because most people have a little therapy, and whatever it was that they were having trouble doing, they were helped to do, and that's it. They were dropped. I didn't have that. Um, I had someone who held my hand during the time when I went to art school, went to the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, and I used to. That was on in Philadelphia on Broad Street, and my therapist was down on Spruce Street, and I used to spend hours down there because it was hard for me to deal with other people, and I especially felt as though drawing or painting in an area with other people who were very talented, I felt inadequate. And I felt whatever I was doing was not as good as what they were doing. And whether it was or not, it didn't matter because that was how I felt. And I could not, I remember on Wednesdays, there, I, for, I'm wondering whether that wasn't the only time, but it's the time that I remember. There was a woman who was the instructor, and that was it. Um, I don't think I went to her class more than twice. Um, and for the academy, I got a B. That was like failing the academy because really everybody was doing the best that they could, and it was understood that you would. Um, Later on, I worked through the system, and I was able to get a studio, and that was helpful because I would still see other people's work, and I could work on my own, and I was able to get the benefit of being there and doing painting my heart out. And I also made a studio at my parents' house. Um, it's a shame I don't think I can put on the painting. At the time, their dog Duke was a beagle, and he was around because it was in their basement, and Duke would come down. I love Duke. And he died pretty young, but I did a big painting of Duke that's hanging downstairs. Um, yeah, I really adore dogs, love dogs and cats and horses and any other animal that you can mention. I've started to love insects now too, and I'm really careful about, if I have to kill an ant, I want it to be fast. I don't want to prolong, any. I'm not into torturing any animal. We saw a fox on the deck today, like an hour ago, and its tail was gone. Like it had a tail, but it was thin, not a mouse, a rat, and some of its fur was missing. It was really small, but it's sick. Um, we live in an this in a Delaware suburb. I do come from Philly, and I'm still a Philadelphian. It's different from having grown up here. It's a different place, different culture a little bit. It's 40 miles south. So anyway, I wanted to talk about the fact, like how it was for me growing up and assure you that you can get better. Growing up, I wanted to disappear. What does that mean? It means you want to die. And I don't know if my brother felt that way, but it was hard because when your parents argue and you hear them arguing, kids blame themselves. And I remember asking my mother if they were going to get a divorce, and she said, bite your tongue, which meant, God forbid, that should happen. So did it help? Maybe not much. And then my mother came from a big family, and in the 50s, people used to come over, they just stopped over, and they would sit and smoke, eat cake. My mother used to make cake all the time. It always came out like this, came out, with, I think it was the oven, and so it come out cockeyed. They always tasted good, but they looked, they were on an angle. So she always had cake, and they sat around, they drank coffee, and smoked cigarettes. I could still tell you what brand of cigarettes my aunts and uncles smoked, and my parents, of course. A doctor had told my father, who was born in 1907, for instance, he had told him to smoke, that it was relaxing. So he smoked. They did stop in, I don't know when they stopped, I guess in the 70s, when it became common knowledge that smoking was dangerous and that it could kill you. They didn't die of cancer. None of my relatives did. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, my Uncle Wally did. He used to smoke, what are the ones? No, I can't remember the name. I can picture the little paper container. They were unfiltered cigarettes. He and my aunt, who didn't really, well, anyway, she had a stroke and she still smoked cigarettes. Not unusual. My uncle Harry used to smoke, and he had heart attacks. I think he used to smoke Lucky Strikes. He had been in the Navy in World War I. He had a tattoo. Anyway, during the time he was in an oxygen tent at, I think it was Einstein Hospital at the time, medical center, he would smoke. He can't smoke in the oxygen tent, so he would I don't know, put it to the side, and he smoked. They were really, really addicted to smoking. Anyway, so that was the way it was in the 50s. People would come over, and my aunts would talk about my father, and they would say very nasty things. So I don't know how much that had to do with me. I don't know. But I did definitely grow up wanting to disappear. And we lived in one section of Philadelphia and moved when I was in second grade to Northeast Philadelphia, which I hated. I loved where we lived before, and because the house wasn't ready, we had to live with my aunt who lived on Broad Street in Philadelphia, which was a commercial area. Broad Street had lots and lots of stores, block after block. It had, if you walked north, the hospital was there. It was a beautiful area. Maybe it still is. The church every Sunday used to play. Used to play music, and it was. I loved that. Loved the music coming from the church, and it happened to be a Catholic church. I don't know whether that matters. The music that would come out, it was beautiful. And my aunt used to take me, we would walk. There were 3 movie theaters within walking distance. One was across the street, one was a little down the next block, and the other one was the block after that. And so we would go to one of the movie theaters, and they were first run movie theaters. Linton's was up the street. There was an ice cream parlor, one to the right of their apartments. My grandmother lived downstairs. My aunt lived upstairs. Well, I did really love that place. And two doors from my grandma, from downstairs from them, there was another ice cream parlor. Um, I suspect ice cream was pretty popular. I loved it, and I think I used to kind of drag them in there. I was only I was going on 7, so I still love ice cream. Anyway, we finally moved into the house in Northeast Philly, and it was awful. The people on the same step were there were two kids. One was a girl who was a couple of years younger than I was, and I'm part of the baby boomers. So there were 10 zillion kids my age, and if you weren't my age, I pretty much did. We played together or didn't play. Um, there was a boy next door who was my brother's age. He was 5 years younger, and going south, I guess. No, north. Um, 2 doors away from us was another boy my brother's age. And my brother was a gentle kid, and they used to harass him day in and day out. It was horrible. And my parents asked about it, and they said, boys will be boys. And they just tortured my brother. And no matter what I said, I used to answer back all the time. They used to say, you can answer back. Um, but I was upset for my brother. I mean, he was 2 when we moved in, and by the time he was 6, um, he was being tortured all the time. Um, so the people next door didn't care. The people on the same step. On the next step, the people were Greek and Italian. The parents, they were really nice people, and they stayed away from the ones they used to get together. The women would get together because women mostly did not work in the 50s. Their husbands had to support the family. And if they didn't do well, tough. So the women were either on the patio in the front of the house, smoking and talking, or they were behind the house, smoking and talking. And my mother was not part of that. She had her own things that she liked to do. She liked to play classical music. We used to dance around to it, and she would read, and my father would read, and they were both educated people, which doesn't mean they were necessarily nice people, but they were. Um, they had been lucky enough. My mother came from a family of 10, so by the time that she was a young adult, the brothers and sisters were all working. They all had to leave school early because that was the way it was. They had to help support the family. And my mother, though, had she had the opportunity to graduate from high school and go to college. Um, this was before the Second World War. She went to not Drexel. I can't think of the name of the college. Uh, it's one that isn't open anymore. It was a Philadelphia college that closed. My father came from a family, also a very big family, but he had no brothers and sisters. He had a what do you call it? A brother who was not adopted. He was a foster child, and I don't know why he wasn't adopted. I have talked to him because I'm a psychic, and he was great. I mean, he was really fun. Not anything like my father. he was just cute, mischievous. My father wasn't mischievous. Um, anyway, my father was able to go to Temple University, and he graduated as an accountant. That didn't mean he made money. He did not. We were poor, and it mattered. It meant in that on that street, and in some of the, I don't know, a lot of the people in that area seemed to feel like if you didn't make money, you weren't worth anything. That's horrible, because one thing doesn't have to do with the other. You cannot make money and you can be a wonderful person. How much money did Mother Teresa make? Um, did Einstein make a lot of money? No, he didn't. Um, it doesn't, it's crazy and it's sick. So, anyway, these ladies who would stay on the patio used to say nasty things to me. Who in God's name would do that to a 7 or 8 year old child? Well, they did. And one of them had one daughter who was my age, another one who was older, and then a much older daughter. Um, they wouldn't talk to me. I don't know why, but I could say hello to them and they would never answer. The people who lived in the house that we eventually bought, not from them though, she wouldn't talk to me either. She was 6 months older, and if you were older, you didn't have to talk to the younger kids. Um, so if you are going through anything like that, where you had adults saying nasty things to you, you have to. I'm telling you right now that they are emotionally damaged. It is not normal for people to do that. It's not healthy. It ultimately means that they're going to have to either apologize to you once they're on the other side, or they're going to have to do something to make it up. It's not acceptable. So if you have these nasty people living near you, you got to know that when they die, if not before that, they're going to have to make it up. It is not okay to do that kind of thing. And if if your parents are calling you names, one parent, both parents, same thing. It's wrong. If you're able to get out of there into some place that's actually healthy and is not phony, just trying to get you for some godforsaken who knows what, do it. Nobody should be around people who call them names or who don't talk to them. My mother used to, what she would do when she didn't like something, rather than telling us, I don't like that you did X, Y, and Z, and I want you to stay in your room for 2 hours because you did that. No, she didn't tell us anything. She would just get mad and say, you know what you did. Kids don't know what they did. They have no idea. My brother was a special ed teacher out in Los Angeles. And the teachers would say to him, they know what they did. And he would say, no, they don't. They don't know what they did. This is a child you're talking about. They don't know what they did. That's the truth. Kids don't know what they did. So if you do it and don't talk to your child thinking that your child will somehow figure it out, or if somebody's doing it to you, know that, I hate to say it like this, but they're crazy. If you don't have ESP, if you can't read their minds, and I doubt that you can, they're wrong. It is not right. Okay, so I was in psychotherapy for a million years. Um, I can't even imagine uh, how I was able to do that. And I think the only reason that I was it was on my path. Each one of us, when we're on the other side, we make a deal and we say, okay, I'm going to go back to earth and I'm going to do this. This is my path. You know, I'm picking these people for parents, and I'm not sure about that, but I know we have a path, and we say, all right, you're going to be my guide. You're going to stay with me, and you're going to love me, and you're going to help me stay on that path, right? And the guide says, yes, I am. And the guide may have been never, never have been a human. Do you really care whether the guide comes from another planet or was never a person or who cares? It doesn't matter. And I think the reason that I had psychotherapists all the time is because of the guides. Somehow they pushed me in this direction because I am supposed to be telling you this now. And my path is to do this and to help you understand you are loved. Your guides love you to pieces. I mean, they love you and they try to talk to you. They probably won't be able to. You won't know what they're saying. You'll never understand. You may hear a voice at night, or some other time you hear a voice in your ear. You may see things that last about 1/4 of a second. All kinds of stuff that they try to get you to do what you're supposed to be doing. They work at it. Um, yes, there are people who do not follow, or who there are people who are supposed to do bad things, which really is, I don't understand that. But people like Donald Trump, um, he actually, and Putin both have one. We all have free will. So if we don't want to become a therapist, and we have said we wanted to do it, and then we decide once we're alive we don't want to, we want to be a teacher, it's close enough. And they won't push you, that we have free will. Sometimes people like 45 and Putin go over. They are worse than they're supposed to be. Earth is a hard planet. Our lives are hard, even if you have a good life, and I have a good life. Um, you can have a good life anywhere. It's, do you appreciate yourself? Can you appreciate yourself? Can you appreciate what you have? Your children, your cousins, your parents, your grandmother, your neighbor, your friends. Be thankful for whatever you have and be grateful and say so. Um, that is important. If you're able to see a therapist, hallelujah. If you're not, there are other ways. There are all kinds of things, and your guides will push you in that direction. My daughter did all kinds of stuff. Um, she's a Buddhist, and she did all kinds of activities, these rebirth, and I don't know, lots and lots of stuff. It got her to a place similar to where I am, um, or maybe more, because she didn't start out with the Mishigas. Mishigas means a mess. So she didn't start out with that. And my mother, the woman who would not talk to me for days, was the most marvelous grandmother you could ever have in life. People are different with different people. She was a wonderful, wonderful grandmother. and I try to emulate her, and be as wonderful a grandmother as she was to my granddaughters. Um, I can't do as well because I don't live up the street from them, which my mother did, but I do my best. I think that's really it. I would be happy to talk to you. Um, Try to be careful about who you pick as friends. Look at if you're a kid, don't think just because the popular kids are popular that they're better. They're not, because sometimes what they may be looking at, maybe who has money, who dresses the way they dress, whose hair is, exactly done every week. I mean, the people I rub with were really gross. And the people you are growing up with may be gross too. They may have the morals, oh well, of Cody, my cat who goes out at night, you know, um, and they may not be as nice as Cody. So think about it. If people are not nice to you and they treat you like garbage, something wrong with them. I mean, take that understand what you do to make that happen. Be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. If you're answering them and pressing their buttons, that could be the reason. You're pressing their buttons and then they come back and they yell at you and you yell at them and you know what to say and you say it and they get all freaked out. I did it. I did it to with their people next door. And when they have their own crazy, you know, and I didn't know that the guy has a like. I shouldn't say this because you know what? They could watch it and like I don't want to be talking about them. So let me just say that when you have a big fight with anybody, look at your part. Don't ignore it. I mean, you may be in the right. It doesn't necessarily matter. It doesn't matter. It's what part did you play? Who cares about them? You don't care about them. You don't like them. You want to look at yourself. What did you do that that made this worse? Just be honest with yourself, okay? And then appreciate the fact that you are being honest with yourself. Be good to yourself and tell yourself, I love you. I love you. I appreciate what you're doing. And I'm a good person. I'm worthy. I'm worthy of love. Tell yourself that because you are. You're human, worthy of love. Don't hurt, don't ever hurt animals. They're here to help us learn how to love. They're here for our good. If you can be good to them and you can take care of them because they take a lot of work. I just remember now that I said that, I have to go empty the kitty litter downstairs. And it's just jobs that you have to do related to animals. If you have a dog, you have to walk the dog, or you have to have a place where he or she can run around and do their business. I do have this garden in the back, and so our girl can do that. Our dog is 15, and you don't have to have a purebred dog. In fact, the other dogs, the mutts, are healthier, and she's a German Shepherd mix with I don't know what she's mixed with. I can't figure it out. She came from Georgia, from one of the kill places, where they just kill the dogs if they're not adopted. So that's it. Now it's time for me to go and eat and then change the kitty litter. I hope you have a lovely evening. Feel free to write to me at spiritsbyjaney@gmail.com. You can write to me here. That's fine. This is my path. So do it. I can tell you what's around you. I can probably tell you what path you're on or not on. I can see any spirit, talk to them, find out what they want to say. And that includes your guides. What else? I don't even know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I can do. I can peek in on people, do remotes on people, and tell you what they're thinking and feeling. Yeah, I don't generally do that with regular people. I do it mostly with politicians and stuff. Okay, so this is Jaynee out. Take care and push the buttons. Thank you so much. Bye bye.